On May 24, 1844, a small crowd of politicians, journalists, and judges gathered in the U.S. Capitol building to witness a groundbreaking experiment. Samuel Morse stood before his telegraph machine, a system of wires, batteries, and a clicking metal lever. 40 miles away in Baltimore, his assistant, Alfred Vail, waited. Moments later, Morse's machine began to click on its own. He translated the incoming signals. "What hath God wrought?" The audience erupted. A message had just traveled 40 miles, not by horse, not by steam, but instantly, through a wire. A senator present wrote, "This changes everything. News from Boston will reach New Orleans before the event is a day old." He underestimated. No technology before had so rapidly compressed distance and time. But what was life like before this revolutionary invention? In 1815, the Battle of New Orleans was fought 2 weeks after the War of 1812 had officially ended. Around 300 to 400 British soldiers died needlessly, with approximately 2,000 total British casualties. The peace treaty had been signed in Europe, but the news hadn't reached Louisiana. Messages could only travel as fast as the fastest ship. A letter from New York to Chicago took 2 weeks by horse. Messages to Europe took months. The Pony Express riders galloped at breakneck speeds. A message from Missouri to California still took 10 days. Some nations tried to solve the problem with optical telegraphs, towers on hilltops with movable wooden arms. France built 556 such stations spanning the country. But optical telegraphs only worked in daylight and clear weather. A single foggy station broke the chain. Carrier pigeons offered another solution. Banking houses released birds carrying market prices. But pigeons could only fly to their home lofts, couldn't carry much, and were vulnerable to hawks and hunters. As nations industrialized, the problem grew more acute. The industrial age needed industrial speed communication. While messengers rode and pigeons flew, scientists were discovering something that would change everything: electricity. In 1800, Italian scientist Alessandro Volta built the voltaic pile, producing a steady electric current. For the first time, electricity could flow and be controlled. In 1820, Danish professor Hans Christian Ørsted noticed electric current affected a compass needle, revealing a link between electricity and magnetism. In 1824, English scientist William Sturgeon invented the first electromagnet, a magnet controlled by electricity. These discoveries sparked an idea. Could electricity transmit messages? In 1831, American Joseph Henry demonstrated an electromagnet ringing a bell from nearly a mile away. Each system had flaws: too complex, expensive, or short-ranged, but the potential was clear. While scientists uncovered electricity's secrets, a grieving portrait painter was about to turn their discoveries into a revolution, all because of a letter that arrived too late. Samuel Morse was not a scientist but a talented portrait painter, known for his works of presidents and dignitaries displayed in prestigious galleries. In 1825, while painting in Washington, D.C., a messenger on horseback delivered a letter. His wife had died. By the time Morse rushed home to New Haven, she had already been buried. This tragedy changed Morse forever. He became obsessed with instant communication. Unlike other inventors who used multiple wires or complicated needle arrays, Morse envisioned simplicity: a single wire carrying pulses of electricity, short and long bursts. But how to convert these pulses into messages? Morse developed a code: short pulses and long pulses arranged in unique combinations for each letter. A dot dash, B dash dot dot dot, C dash dot dash dot. In 1837, Morse met Alfred Vail, a skilled machinist from a wealthy manufacturing family. Vail was captivated by Morse's idea and offered funds, workshop space, and his own mechanical genius. Vail created the key and sounder that became standard telegraph equipment. By 1838, they could send messages over 2 miles of wire. The telegraph system operates using a simple electrical circuit that connects a sending station and a receiving station. At the sending station, the telegraph key acts as a switch that controls the flow of electricity from the battery to the wire. When the operator presses the key, it pushes a metal contact down, closing the circuit. This allows electricity to flow through the wire toward the receiver. When the operator releases the key, a spring lifts it back, breaking the circuit and stopping the current. By tapping the key for short and long durations, the operator sends electrical pulses that form Morse code. At the receiving station, the electrical current travels through a coil of wire wrapped around an iron core, forming an electromagnet. When electricity flows into the coil, the magnetic field pulls down the metal armature, creating the first click sound. This movement can also be linked to a stylus, which marks a moving paper tape. When the electrical pulse stops, the magnetic field disappears, and a spring pulls the armature back up, producing a second click. These clicks correspond to dots and dashes in Morse code, which an operator can interpret from the paper tape. However, operators soon found they could read messages just by listening to the clicks, greatly speeding up the process. But serious problems remained. The electrical signal weakened rapidly. Beyond a few miles, it became too faint to detect. Without solving this problem, the telegraph would remain impractical for real-world use. The solution came in the form of a relay. A relay was essentially a telegraph receiver that, instead of making marks on paper, operated a switch to a fresh battery. This boosted the signal, allowing it to travel another leg of the journey at full strength. With relays placed every 15 to 20 miles along the line, messages could travel any distance, jumping from one electrical booster to the next. The technology worked, but building a nationwide network of poles and wires would be an entirely different challenge. After Morse's success, Congress approved $30,000 to build a telegraph line from Washington to Baltimore. Morse hired Ezra Cornell to lay insulated copper wire in lead pipes underground. The insulation failed almost immediately. With half the funds gone, they changed tactics, stringing wires on poles above ground. Teams of men dug holes every 50 yards, planted 24-foot poles. Other workers followed, stringing the copper wire from pole to pole. It was dangerous work. One worker wrote, "Temperatures of 15 below zero. My fingers frozen to the wire. Still, we push westward." With the Washington-Baltimore line operating successfully, private companies rushed to build their own networks. By 1848, telegraph lines connected New York to Chicago. By 1851, there were 20 competing telegraph companies. Western Union, founded in 1851, was also among the companies that rapidly expanded during this period. A line costing $200 per mile could generate $500 annually per mile. Investors scrambled to fund new projects. With the physical network came a new profession, the telegraph operator. These skilled workers could send and receive up to 40 words per minute. Women became operators during the Civil War and excelled at the job. By 1870, they made up over 30% of all operators. As a newspaper editorial noted, the telegraph has annihilated both space and time. The telegraph also transformed language. Operators developed shorthand codes to speed up transmissions, using numeric and letter-based abbreviations such as 73, best regards, and 30, end of message. New phrases emerged. People were wired with excitement. News could electrify the public, and thoughts moved at telegraph speed. Telegraph offices became community hubs. During the Civil War, crowds gathered outside for battle updates. Then came the biggest challenge yet: connecting two continents across 2,000 miles of open ocean. In 1854, Cyrus Field set out to lay a telegraph cable across the Atlantic Ocean, an unprecedented challenge since no wire had ever spanned 2,000 miles of deep, unpredictable waters. The first attempt in 1857 ended in failure when the cable snapped and sank. A second attempt in 1858 succeeded, allowing Queen Victoria to send a 98-word message to US President James Buchanan. New York celebrated with fireworks, so intense that they accidentally set City Hall on fire. However, the cable's success was short-lived. An engineer applied too much voltage while testing the line, irreparably damaging it after just 23 days. With no way to fix it and the Civil War looming, further efforts were delayed for nearly a decade. Finally, in 1866, Field tried again using the massive steamship Great Eastern, which could carry the entire cable in a single load. This time, with stronger insulation and better materials, the transatlantic cable was successfully completed. The team even managed to recover and repair the lost cable from the previous year's attempt. Initially, the service was incredibly expensive, around $1,700 in today's money for just a 20-word message. But as more cables were laid, prices dropped. By 1900, a vast network of submarine cables connected the world, allowing global news and communication to spread faster than ever before. When Bell invented the telephone with his famous "Mr. Watson, come here" call, the telephone allowed direct conversation without Morse code. Yet the telephone wasn't a replacement but a descendant, using the same infrastructure. This pattern repeated with radio, television, and the internet, each building on telegraph principles. When Morse tapped "What hath God wrought" in 1844, he created a world where information travels at light speed. Every message we send today connects us to a conversation that began with Morse, a conversation that now spans the planet. The telegraph didn't just change communication, it changed what it means to be human in a connected world.